We come together this morning to bid farewell to Father Michael and McKenna, to thank God for his life and his ministry, and to assist him by our prayers as he moves on to the next stage of life, a stage to which, in God's good time, we will all follow. Death is the one absolute certainty in life, and I go to a lot of funerals. Today we have Mike McKenna's funeral. Tomorrow I will go to the funeral of Brother Eddie's brother George. And on Friday I will be in my home place for the funeral of the parish priest's former housekeeper. It makes you feel occasionally like looking around and asking, who is going to be next? And we can be safe here because they do say these things come in threes. So I have got my three already. When we do that, when we wonder who might be next, who would have picked Mike McKenna? His death was unexpected. It was sudden. It was unforeseen in a certain way. He had various health issues. He was a decent age, certainly, and he'd been in hospital, but he did seem to be improving. So it is just another reminder, if we needed it, that we do not know the day or the hour. In the midst of life, we are in death. The final moment can come at any time, whether it is sudden, whether it is long expected, whether we are old or relatively young. That is the case, because this moment of death is not the end. It is not the conclusion of something. It is simply one of countless significant moments that happen to all of us in the course of this journey towards God, which is our human life. So for our brother Michael, this is the moment when everything he has worked towards for the whole of his life suddenly becomes clear. He no longer sees, as the rest of us do, through a glass darkly. Rather, he has moved beyond us. He has moved to a position where he can grasp the height and the width, the length and the breadth of God's plan and of God's love for him. Equally, in the midst of death, we are in life. So as we come together to pray for Michael and to reflect upon his life, we are surely invited also to reflect upon our own life and upon those mysteries of life and of faith which still evade our limited human understanding, and upon what account we will give of ourselves when we reach the stage that Michael has now reached. So in short, we are being asked at this funeral, as we are asked at every funeral, to reflect upon how we might be remembered. Now, if that seems a bit abstract or a bit uncomfortable, we can ask ourselves instead, more simply, how we will remember Father Michael McKenna. I first met him a number of years ago in Hining Hall, where he was chaplain to the Cistercian sisters. That was one of three appointments mentioned in his obituary notice, along with his work in Pakistan and his study of canon law. Now, that license in canon law may come as a bit of a surprise because Michael never used it. He didn't teach canon law. He didn't function as a canon lawyer. And the reason for that is simple. Just as he finished his licentiate in canon law, Pope John Paul II issued the new Code of Canon Law. And Michael told me this in hiding, and he said, I know it wasn't done as a personal affront to me, But at the same time, it was very difficult for him not to feel that somehow John Paul had pulled the rug from under his feet. So he went back to Pakistan and he did other things until his health brought him home again. And then he went to be chaplain to the nuns at Heining. Again, from there, it was his health that brought about the move to Herbert House. He had that fall, and thank God he fell wherever he did, because in your wild ground there, it could have been days before he'd have been found. So wonderful that it happened just where it happened and that you went looking for him. Michael was not a man who sought attention. You could perhaps even say he was a man who was not easy to get to know. And when we look at the obituary notice and seek guidance in trying to come to know him a bit better, that doesn't help because there is so relatively little mentioned in the obituary notice. And you look at that and you think, well, could we have done a bit better there? And somehow I would say it doesn't matter. It is not such a bad thing. Because when we are looking for more and more in our obituary notices, perhaps we are asking the wrong questions. We know realistically that what a person did, where a person worked, what appreciation they received in the course of their life, these are not the things that we should use to assess somebody. They are not the main point of a person's life. They are not particularly the things that we should be remembering. There is an old joke, and like many old jokes, it contains a grain of truth. And it says, the ideal Mill Hill missionary has only got 2 items in his file when he dies. One is a letter of appointment to somewhere in the missions, and the other is a letter recalling him to retirement at home. The thinner the file, the better. People who are doing what they should be doing do not attract notice. And human nature being what it is usually the case that our leadership will write to you when they want to reprimand you. But when you deserve a bit of praise and thanks, do you get a letter? No, you don't. So the thinner the file, the better. Maybe Michael's file was thin because he was not trying to set the world on fire. He was simply doing what was expected of him, quietly, unobtrusively, getting on with whatever job he had as best he could. And that, I think, is how Michael McKenna should be remembered. And it is perhaps how we ourselves might hope to be remembered when our own time comes. Can we imagine saying for ourselves in the future, and perhaps thinking that Michael would say for himself now with the psalmist, O Lord, my heart is not proud, nor haughty my eyes. I have not gone after things too great, nor marvels beyond me. Truly, I have set my soul in silence and peace. Eternal rest grant unto him, O Lord, and let perpetual light shine upon him. May he rest in peace. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen.